Welcome to the Off Balance Podcast, where faith, family, and business collide with your host, Dr. Brooks Deming, Christian life coach, intercessor, and entrepreneur.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Brooks. Welcome to Off Balance, a podcast for adults trying to balance life. Thank you for tuning in each week to learn strategies to help you be the better version of yourself. The sponsor of today's episode is Clothed by J. Christine, a Christian-based clothing store offering quality and affordable clothing for the everyday fashionable conscious woman. Today's guest marches to the beat of his own drum. He is an author, an entrepreneur, and a life coach. He helps other people overcome trauma and tragedy. He uses his testimony as being an overcomer of domestic violence to help others come out of that place of embarrassment, fear, and shame. I cannot wait for you guys to meet my guest. Welcome to the show, Galen Cromartie. How are you today?
I'm doing all right, trying to make it on through.
Okay, can you tell the listeners who is Galen?
Oh, who ain't Galen? Let's see. So Galen is a model, an author, an entrepreneur, a life coach, fiance, son, go get this money person, fashionista. I mean, I could go on, but we ain't got that much time.
That is awesome. So you are very confident and your personality is so bubbly. Have you always been that way?
You know, I honestly was not always that way. I would say it took me to the 10th or 11th grade to get more bubbly and more outgoing and more outspoken. Before that, I was like bullied, and so I was very reserved and shy, and I didn't have a good, self-image of myself. But it took a little tussle in high school with a kid to realize, oh, wait, I can be that guy, so I'm gonna be that guy. And so after that, yeah, I just, I think the real person that I was started to come out, and I stopped trying to hide that.
And so in your intro, you mentioned that you are a life coach. What made you want to be a life coach?
So in my relationships, I feel like I was always the one that was helping to motivate, helping people get to where they needed to get to, and not just in relationships, but my friends also. But I got to the point where I was like, okay, I'm tired of building these people up, right? Getting them ready for the next person, and I'm doing that for free. I was like, oh no, we're not doing that no more. So now I'm going to help people, and I'm going to, make some money off of it. Obviously, it's not about the money. It's about helping people. So ultimately, it did feel good to be able to get people in the direction of where they were trying to go. So I just wanted to stick with that.
Okay. And then I know in the life coaching arena, most people have a niche. Most people have a particular group of people that they want to work with. Do you have like a targeted market, or are you just open to help anyone?
I do have two target markets. So my first market is to work with survivors of domestic violence, help find their voice. And that's really what speaks to me the most, because I am a domestic violence survivor myself. And during the process of, me getting out of those situations, I do feel like I lost a little bit of my voice. I wasn't able to tell my story. I wasn't able to talk to my family or my friends about what was going on with me. And so a part of my coaching will definitely be, even for those who are still in the situation, to be able to find their voice and be able to speak out about what's actually happening to them. And another part of, I guess, the flip side of that coin would be my other niche, which is to help solopreneurs shake the stuck feeling. Because I know me, even still, I sometimes feel like I get stuck and I don't really know what it is I'm wanting to do next in my businesses. So if I can help people shake that, then
Mhm.
I feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Both of those areas is actually really great. I'll ask a question about the first one. So you want to help domestic violence survivors. As a male, how hard was that for you? Because typically when you think of domestic violence, you think of females and you really don't give much consideration to males. So first off, bravo to you for even, admitting that you were in an abusive relationship, and and B, just, stepping out to say, hey, this can happen to anyone. And now I am here with my voice to help. So, what even made you decide to share?
So it wasn't easy. And I hate to say it because I grew up witnessing domestic violence in my household. And so for a good period of my early dating life, to me, this was normal, right? Because this is just
Yeah.
what I saw, so I didn't think that there was anything wrong with what was going on in the relationships. But obviously, the older that I got and seeing people in healthy relationships that did not include violence or financial abuse or emotional abuse, then I started to realize, okay, hey, this isn't right.
Mhm.
And so it actually came down to, because I didn't talk about it to anyone, and when I did try to speak to someone, they were like, "Oh, well, that's not domestic violence. You two are guys. How's that domestic violence? That's just assault and battery." And I'm like, "Okay, well, I'm just gonna hush now. I'm not gonna say anything." But one of my dear friends, she actually told me about a photographer that was coming to Philadelphia that was photographing survivors of domestic violence. They would tell their story and they would take these impact photos, and she was like, I think that would be good for you. And I'm like, I don't know about that. I've never really talked to a mass group of people. I've never done anything like this. And she was just like, think about the people that you could help. And so I ended up doing that photo shoot. And that right there really propelled me into writing a book about domestic violence in relationships and doing other photo shoots about domestic violence, doing speaking engagements, raising awareness that, hey, this happens in with males too, and also in same-sex relationships. And so from that, it just kind of, I felt I had a purpose and I had something to do and to give back. And that's what I chose to do with it.
Well, I'm so grateful that your friend encouraged you to speak up and to find your voice. So, what would you say to the people that are listening that find themselves maybe in an abusive relationship now, or they are on the other side where they've gotten out of the relationship, but they are afraid to seek help or they're embarrassed? What type of advice can you lend them to be able to move forth with their journey?
And this is for male, female,
Anybody. Mhm.
same-sex relationships, heterosexual relationships. If you're currently in it, you're not alone. And I know that it feels like you are, because that's a part of being in those type of relationships, is that they try to isolate you and make you feel as if you're alone, but you are absolutely not. There are resources out there for everyone. You can text, you don't have to call. There's shelters that you can go to. There's programs not only for the ones that are being abused, but also there's programs out there for the abusers. And a lot of people don't know that. That if you actually, you grew up seeing this, and you have that generational curse, so where now you're the one doing that. There's help out there for you as well. Um, and for people who have gotten out of it, kudos, because it's not easy to do that. It's not easy to leave. The most dangerous part of the domestic violence relationship is when you get ready to leave, because that heightens everything. And so for those that have made it out, that's a wonderful thing. Use your voice to help those that aren't. Don't judge. And this is advice for people who haven't been in it but maybe knows someone that is. Try not to judge. Try to understand. It isn't as easy as just packing up and leaving as people think it is. Well, why don't you just leave, or why would you go back? Sometimes that's all someone knows. They may not have the financial resources to leave. There may be kids involved. So just try to understand what someone's going through and try not to judge.
And that is so true. I can recall years ago that one of my friends was in an abusive relationship, and she would always come to me for advice. And I would always just encourage her, and I would tell her, you will know when you're ready. Because what I found was it didn't matter how many times I said, this is not good for you. You need to leave. That wasn't she wasn't in a place to receive that. So I just used to encourage her and tell her it's going to be okay and just let her know you will know the time when you're ready. And she eventually, got herself out of that situation. So I am so glad that you told people, not to judge and to just, be a support system. And then you also mentioned that you are an author. What's the title of your book?
The Galen memoir, How Love Can Make You Stupid. And that book was solely about all of my domestic violence relationships and sexual assault that I endured during relationships. So that one was more therapeutic for me
Okay.
because I had to go back and kind of relive some of the trauma that I went through in some of these relationships. And it was very, it was helpful for me. To me, it's like it's therapy. I write it, release it, it's gone.
But see, that's good because a lot of people do journal. So let's just say I contact you to be one of your coaching clients, and I'm already hesitant because I'm coming out of an abusive relationship. Like, what is your intake process? What does that look like?
So how I have it set up now is that if they don't feel comfortable calling me right now per se, right?
Mhm.
I have a website which I'm still kind of under construction, but they can reach me through it, where it reaches out to me and they can give me the information about, why they want to have a coach, what they're hoping to get out of it, and how I can help them through whatever challenging thing it is that they're needing help through. And so I have honey books where I have all of my forms that they can fill out, and they will actually be able to either do something virtual with me
Mhm.
or in person with me. And I'm actually working on and I have an office space, which is where I'm at now, but I actually want something outside of the home because that may be more comfortable for both parties. If
Yeah.
someone wants to come in, they can do it, in a neutral space for both of us, because having someone come in my home might not be comfortable, and me going to theirs might not be comfortable. Us meeting at Starbucks might not be comfortable because they might be saying something that they don't want someone to hear. So I'm actually getting office space.
But see, that's good because I like that I can, if I wanted to, if I was uncomfortable, I can contact you via text. Essentially,
Hmm.
is what it is. And I don't have to really, I can get an opportunity to make sure that this is something that I want to do. And as we know, coaching is not therapy. So I don't have to really worry about reliving all of the trauma, but I can also kind of decide on what I want to talk with you about in order for you to help me. And I like the fact that you experienced it. So
Hmm.
you know what it's like, the fears, the resentment, like the reluctancy and all of that. So that is really, really great. So how long are your programs? Like, how long can they expect to work with you?
So, to me, I think coaching, I pair it because I'm a big, huge advocate of therapy, right? And counseling. And so I think that I use that same kind of model where I'm not going to cut you off at a certain point. If you need to come to me and come and continue to see me, I definitely welcome that. However, I want there to be a shift, right? So there was this place that I went to called Onsite, and what they preached was you're not going to be fixed by the time you leave here. Like it's like this 6 or 7 day retreat. You go and it's like real good therapy. And what they preach is that when you leave here, we're going to give you, I think it's like a 2 degree shift. And so what that does is it may not look like a lot when you first start out, right? But over time, that 2 degrees goes out and you're so much further along than where you started. And so
That's
that's
good.
kind of what I want to model it after. Let's say that, we have one session and that's enough motivation for you to get started on what you want to do. Or maybe you need 5 sessions to get to where you are. Or maybe you need just something weekly to kind of help you to keep motivation. And, so I want to be open to all aspects of that. One off from access to me. So whether it takes 1 session, 5, 30. I want people to be able to access me and be able to be coached anytime they feel that they need that.
And that is really good because I know even myself, when I was looking for a coach, I felt some people wanted you to commit for an extended period of time. Some of the programs were extremely short. I felt like I wanted to create my own program. And
Mhm.
so I was hesitant in signing up for a coach because I felt like, they were so strict on either I have to be with them for 9 months or I have to be with
Mhm.
them for, 4 or 5 months. And it's like, no, I just really wanted a short program to be able to get the motivation and accountability that I need to accomplish goals. So I really like that you give your clients an option to work with you for a short period of time or for a long period of time. So that is really, really good. And then you also mentioned that you help entrepreneurs. And so I know for myself, when I was starting my business, I didn't know anything. I
Mhm.
Googled and, I only was, the information was so limited. And then the people that I knew that had businesses, they were so secretive. They didn't really want to share or help me, point me in any direction. And so there was really not anyone that I can talk to kind of encourage me to keep going. So when a person comes to you that's in that space, what does that coaching look like?
So that coaching looks like, and of course, I'm going to break it down for the individuals and what they need, right? And
Mhm.
so let's say someone is stuck because they can't come up with, or let's say that they can't stick with a certain idea. I have all these ideas in my head. I don't know which way to go. And so I'm not able to allocate enough time to everything because I have so many ideas. So a coaching session here would look like, okay, well, what are your top 3 things that you're the most excited about? When you close your eyes and you think, what are the top 3 things that get you, the most excited? So let's focus on those 3 things, right? And
Mhm.
of those 3 things, how would you like to prioritize the time that you're going to allocate to that, right? And so it could be something as simple as, I just need a plan of action, and so I can actually get motivated to do something because I'm feeling overwhelmed by everything that I want to do. Or it could be, well, I have this one thing that I like, but I kind of don't know where to take it. That kind of counseling, that kind of coaching, excuse me, could be, okay, well, is there something else that's going on with you that's maybe preventing you from being as focused as you like to be? So it's just, I think that the approach overall is the same when it comes to coaching, because I think what we learned is you coach the person and not the problem.
Mhm.
And so I think it makes it a little easier to kind of have a baseline of where to start with, but you tailor it to the individual.
And I like that your coaching programs are tailored to the individual. And so, as we know, coaching is not a regulated field. You don't have to be certified or anything. But do you have like any type of training to become a coach, or what was that like for you?
So my unofficial training would be helping these people who don't know how to appreciate where I got them at, right? But the official training is from the course that I am taking now, and that is a 6-month long course, which I'm almost finished with. So I'm not saying I'm a 100% coach just yet, but almost there. In a few more weeks, I definitely will be. And so that is more of the framework, the actual education piece of it. But I don't think that that compares to the life experiences of me building not only my own businesses, but helping others build theirs, and also the experience of being in domestic violence relationships, in sexual assault, relationships, and coming out of that. And I actually do have education in that because I have signed up for and become certified to give speeches about domestic violence to adults all the way down to teenagers. Actually, tomorrow I'm going to go speak at a middle school about youth teen dating violence and what does that look like, and what do you do if you're in that situation. So I have some education, but to me, it's more about the life experience. I think that someone would listen to someone faster if they've been through it versus I read this from a textbook and got a degree and I'm applying my education to you.
Yeah, I'm glad that you explain the experience as well as the education, because I know a lot of the times when people, talk about life coaches, they're looking for them to be certified. They want them to have all of this classroom experience. But I don't think many people realize that coaching is not regulated. There's no governing body that requires you to have anything. So the fact that although you already have the experience that you need, you have all of that, you still chose to take the initiative to go and get some form of formal training. So I think that shows that you are serious about, being able to help people. And I'm glad also you mentioned about teenagers. So your coaching business, do you only help adults or do you also help teens?
So I'm definitely not against helping teens. But it's a tricky road, right? Because I actually just coached as like a kind of a practice session, a teen. And it's great that, they're wanting that type of, guidance at an early age, right? But it's also in that time frame where they're still forming their personalities, forming who they are.
Yeah.
And so it's something to keep in mind, when doing that. But I'm definitely not opposed to it because obviously I go around and I'm speaking and doing these speaking engagements, towards teens now. It's just something to think about. I'm not opposed, right?
Okay.
But I feel like it's a little bit more. There's a little bit more caution to be used there because they're still very young.
Yeah, I completely understand. But let's just say we have a listener that's out there and they have a child that has been through issues and the child is feeling your personality. You wouldn't be hesitant to meet.
No, absolutely not. No, absolutely not. And I've had, when I've done the speaking engagements and some people have actually read my book prior to, they have come to me and said, because of your book, I'm able to talk to my child.
Yes.
Because of the things that happened to you, now I'm able to talk to my child about what's going on with them. And it's been very therapeutic, even for my mother and I, because I never told her some of the stuff that I went through. She read it just like everybody else did. And it actually brought us closer together, and we were already crazy close, but there was this thing that we never discussed that we were able to talk about. So if there is a teenager listening, or, if a parent wants me to speak with them, I am definitely comfortable and okay with that.
See, that's very good because just listening to you, I can imagine that if I was a parent in that situation, even if I didn't want you to coach my child, I can see getting you to coach me in order just to be able to communicate or interact with my child. Because especially if I haven't experienced domestic violence or if I haven't experienced it, a lot of the times our first defense is to be judgmental. Like, how could you let somebody do this to you? Why would you do this? And not realizing that that's not helping the situation.
Right.
So I think even if a parent, hasn't gone through domestic violence, but if they have a child that they're trying to help, whether that's a teenager or an adult, your coaching program can actually help them as well. So,
and that's what I'm hoping for. That's the 100% what I'm hoping for. And the domestic violence, it tugs at my heartstrings because I know what that feels like, and I really wouldn't want anyone to go through that, adult or child, to go through that. So anything that I can do to help, facilitate either helping them understand that, one, it's not their fault,
and ways to get out of it, or two, that they're not alone.
Yeah, that is really good. And so you also talked about your books. So where can they purchase your books?
So the first book about my domestic violence relationships, both of them are available on Amazon, but the first book is called The Galen Memoir: How Love Can Make You Stupid, and that is solely about me and my relationships and the things that I endured, how I got out of it, and ultimately where I got married. That's where the book ended, but that is not where the story ended.
I'll listen. I am like, let me go purchase this book. Because guys, I had no idea that he got married.
I did, and divorced. And divorced.
Listen, guys, I'm going to purchase this book. And then what the second book?
So the second book is called The F Flu, which it's, the F word, but it's starred out. Bug Chasing and the Paz Brotherhood, a new chapter in HIV/AIDS history. And so that book, that was more of a passion project for me, because I'm big on, if I can't find the information that I'm looking for, then I'm going to make something about it, right? So there was articles here, articles there about this thing, but there was no book. And so what the book is about is about people, and it doesn't necessarily just apply to the LGBTQ community, but all communities, for people who are actively seeking to acquire STDs. And your face says it all, because I'm sure that's something you probably have never heard of, right?
I actually have not. That's why I asked you. So that's a thing.
That's a thing. So people actually, and it can be anything from the top up to like HIV all the way down to gonorrhea.
Okay.
And so another thing is stealthing. So if you've never heard of that, the book talks about that. And what that is where someone secretly removes the condom during intercourse, and you're not aware that they've done that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so the book kind of details, hey, this is what you kind of look out for. This is what you do if someone has done this. And I've actually interviewed, I think, about 20 people who are either actively chasing after STDs, or the ones who are actively giving someone STDs, or they like to stealth people, because I felt like this was something that was going on, but no one was talking about it. And no one was aware of this.
Listen, so that is actually, although different, it is actually really good, because we have to create a space where we can educate ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of the times heterosexuals don't think that the LGBT community issues don't affect them. But in both areas, we have STDs, we have domestic violence, we have all type of stuff. So there is an overlap. And so I am so happy that you decided to write that book. And I'm so happy that when you first begin to talk about it, you did not exclude a community. You said this is for all people, that's good, because we all have issues, that kind of overlap one another. Right. So I am like, when you said it, I'm like, wait, I don't even know what that means.
And so it's crazy, right? You think about it, it's like, who would willingly want to have HIV, right? Who would willingly want to take that on? And so I actually put like a chapter of myself in this book, right? So to talk about my standpoint of that, because there was a time where in my younger days, like, I didn't enjoy having intercourse at all, because like I was so afraid that no matter what I did, I was going to catch some type of STD, right? And I was going back and forth to the hospital, right? Every time I have sex, I'll go to the hospital to get checked, because I'm like, oh my God, is this it? Is this the time? Is this it? Oh my God. And so it took a lot of educating for me. I was like, well, maybe it would just be easier if I had HIV. Then I wouldn't have to worry about it. Then this stress of, do I have it? Do I have it? Do I have it? Getting tested, going to the hospital, it would be lifted off of me, right? And so that is, and obviously with age and educating myself and learning how, safe sex and how that worked, I was never in extreme danger, right?
Yeah.
But younger me could not enjoy anything because the fear was there. So that was my reasoning of thinking, maybe I should just go ahead. That way I won't have to worry about it, And society earlier, with people in the LGBTQ community, they're like, you're going to get it anyway. You're going to get it anyway. So just go ahead, and that's not necessarily the case, but that's what we were told. And so this book kind of helps shines light on other people's perspective of doing that.
And it's interesting because while you were speaking, all I can think about is someone so young in love and their partner may have HIV, and now they decide that in order for me to be with this person, then I need to contract HIV. So I can definitely see Googling that and not finding anything. So although the book is so different, because you was like, I see your face, it's like so interesting because I would have never thought that there would be people that will pursue, something that, CDC says is not good for you. It can harm you. It can decrease your lifespan. But it just goes to show that people mindset and their mentality is different. So, we have to create a space, for them to be able to get the information that they need. So I do think, although different, that your book has helped a lot of people.
Yeah, it's very different. I would definitely say that. And when I told my mom I was writing the book about this, she was like, "What the hell are you doing?" It was definitely one of those things where people didn't quite get it at first, right? And so I told a story of an article that I read about a guy who met this guy on this hookup app, and they came over, they had consensual sex, and everything was great. And then after the guy left, he sent him a message saying, "Oh, by the way, while we were, having sex, I removed the condom and I'm HIV positive, and now you are too." And ha ha ha. Right.
Oh, wow.
And so the guy he didn't realize that. And so he actually pressed charges and tried to, he got the police involved trying to find this person. This person was going around to multiple people doing that.
See, that's why it's very important, regardless of your sexual orientation, to make sure that you just protect yourself, because it is so sad that you have some people that have put in their mind that they want to destroy others. So I just encourage you guys to be safe. A lot of people have so many opinions, so much to say. What has your experience been like being an openly gay Black man?
I will be honest. I feel like I've had it way better than most, right? Okay. When it comes to being gay and being out, and going out and living in my truth, it's difficult, right? And so for me, I have been blessed to not have to deal with a lot of the negative sides of that.
Okay.
Honestly, 99.99% of my friends are actually straight males.
Okay.
And, they're comfortable. And this is what it's always been. And this is like the consensus of what they've always said to me is that I'm comfortable in my sexuality, that your sexuality does not bother me. Okay. You always approach me with respect. You don't try to hit on me. So what you do is your business and I don't care. And that's kind of been, the basis of it for me. And I think that because I'm so outspoken, I'm so boisterous and lively and bubbly, I have people coming up, "Oh, I like your outfit. Where'd you get your outfit from?" And so I think I've just been kind of fortunate in that sense. But I know a lot of kids that aren't.
Yeah.
That get put out of their homes, that, have committed suicide, that self-harm, because how religion and stuff plays or how people treat them, how people look at them. And so, it's heartbreaking, but fortunately for me, I haven't had to deal with a lot of that, but I have very tough skin because I'm from the hood. So I'll fight you if you get disrespectful.
But no, I was just wondering because like your personality, your confidence, the way you carry yourself, like if you wouldn't have shared with me your history, I would have never known because you carry no remnants of the things that you've gone through. And so as I'm just talking to you, and it's just like, I am so excited for your clients and your future clients, because you are going to be able to help them in so many areas. Like, and I just really hope that the listeners, take heed to that, because wow, I really wish that this was a podcast where they can actually see you and they can actually interact with you, because just to see you and to hear your story, like, it doesn't match.
Right.
Seriously, like it really doesn't match. And so you are going to help a lot of people. You are really going to help a lot of people, because you have been blessed to be able to overcome and use your hurt, use your pain, use your trauma to really be able to build a space for yourself. And that's what's important, a space for yourself.
That's right. That's right. I always say, when there's not an avenue or a road for you, create your own. Even if you have to stand alone, create your own.
And you have definitely done that. So how can listeners get in touch with you? Like, are you on social media? Do you have a website or anything like that?
I am, actually. So you can find me on Facebook, and that's Galen, Galen, Jarrell, Jarell, Cromartie, Cromartie. That's my Facebook. You can follow me on Instagram. That's dope, DOPE, attire 2, the number 2, inspire. That is my everything fashion, everything books related, shirts, apparel, all that stuff. And it actually has a link to my other Instagram page that was established long before. So there's it's a little bit more buzz going on that one.
And then if you can leave the listeners with one final thought, what advice would you give them?
I would say that you need to live in whatever your truth is. And you can't let anyone take that away from you. And that's what I have always done, because I have been told to calm it down, tone it down. Maybe don't be so boisterous. Don't be so outspoken. Don't dress so loudly. Don't bring this much attention to yourself. But that's not who I am. That's who you want me to be, but that's not who I'm going to be, because my words might inspire somebody. The outfit that I have on today might inspire somebody. This book might inspire somebody. So to me, I'm going to live my life the way that I want to hopefully inspire someone else to live their life the way they want to.
That is really good advice. So guys, I'm going to have his information on my website, brooksdeming.com. So again, Galen, thank you so much for tuning in with us, for being our guest today. You have been so amazing. And I know that everything that you said is going to add value to the lives of the listeners, because like I said, it is such a gap between the two communities. And it's actually unfortunate. Because we can both learn from one another. So again, I thank you for coming on my show. I thank you for being open and honest and just being transparent with me and being your authentic self. So thank you. And anytime you want to come back, you are welcome.
You know what? I think we should. I would love to come back.
Anytime you have something coming out that you need to get out, you email me. I am so serious. You know
what? I will hold you to that. I will definitely do that.
This concludes today's episode. Thank you for tuning in. I hope the information presented adds value to your life. Be sure to follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at Brooks Deming. The sponsor of today's episode was Clothed by J. Christine, a Christian clothing store offering quality and affordable clothing for the everyday fashionable conscious woman. To learn more about today's guest, visit brooksdeming.com. Until next time, be resilient.
Thanks for joining. Please rate this episode and share this podcast with your family and friends. To learn more about your host, visit www.brooksdeming.com.